All right, so Joshua, we're in Joshua chapter 11. Joshua chapter 11. We are halfway through the chapter, and what happened in the first part of the chapter? The northern kings got together. Why did they do that? To defeat Israel, right? That was their purpose. But what caused them to join together? They saw what they did to the south, right? Right.
Hey.
Joshua chapter 10, we saw the southern kings, the king of Jerusalem got a confederacy of the southern kings. They all came together and hung around Gibeon, because Gibeon had made peace with Israel. Israel came to their rescue. Israel chased them. Joshua asked for that the sun stop, the sun and moon stop. The Lord granted that extremely unusual request, and Joshua was able to chase them down and eliminate them, the southern kingdom. So that was the southern campaign. And then quickly the king of Hazor saw what had happened, and so he formed together even a larger confederacy of kings and brought all the kings in the region from all around to come together at the waters of Merom. And so he got them all together. Joshua got word that these kings were joined together to come together and then come down to Gilgal and do a surprise attack on Israel. Joshua went ahead and said, well, we're not going to let them come down here. We're going to go to them. So he then marches to them. God says, fear not, for I give them to your hand. And so then they did a surprise attack on these nations up here at the waters of Merom. And because of all these different nations together that had been previously fighting, now there is a surprise attack and they're not quite sure what to do. So they run. And so they run in all different directions. Joshua's army chases after them and eliminates them as far north as Zidon and the valley of Mizpah, just at the base of Mount Hermon. So they chase them pretty far. Then Joshua turns and goes to Hazor, and he personally has Hazor burned to the ground. Hazor is the biggest city in the area. It's the one that had the influence on all these other kings. So Joshua here personally destroys Hazor by fire. So I want to go to some videos, a series of videos that takes you to Hazor and what's going on there. Hazor is a series of, unlike Ai or Jericho, there's other cultures. The Israelites comes, King Solomon is known to use Hazor as stables for his royal horses and chariots and so forth. So there's activities that happen at Hazor after this moment in time. So let's see if we can watch a couple of videos.
Hi, and welcome again to our set of short videos visiting Israel's 50 must-visit Bible places. Once more, we'd like to thank Bible Archaeology Digest for providing the pictures and information. Today, we'll be taking a quick look at Hatzor, or Hazor. Acropolis is simply the Greek term for upper or higher city. And that is what people find when they visit the excavated Tel Hatzor in the Hular Valley. Most people visiting Tel Hatzor today do not realise that the excavated portion of the city that they see is merely 1/8 of the original biblical city. Biblically, Hatzor was an important city situated in the northern part of the land, above the Sea of Galilee. The first mention of Hatzor in the Bible is in Joshua 11. Joshua turned back at that time and took Hatzor and struck its kings with the sword, for Hatzor was formerly the head of all those kings. And they struck all the people who were in it with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was none left breathing. Then he burned Hatzor with fire. But as for the cities that stood on their mounds, Israel burned none of them, except Hatzor only, which Joshua burned. This picture shows the Acropolis from below. The lower city extends to the north and the west from this imposing tower. This is an aerial view of the main Acropolis site. You will note that the upper city of the Acropolis is separated from the lower city by a ditch. The lower lower city extends some distance beyond the right side of this picture. A similar ditch with a rampart also runs along the northern edge of the lower city. The western edge is protected by a huge rampart, and on its southern edge there is a deep ditch. There is plenty of evidence to show that the settlement extended far beyond the enclosed area, probably covering the whole area bounded by the road system. What we cannot tell, without excavation, is the dates for these structures. During the Israelite period, it appears that only the Acropolis had its defences maintained. This picture shows the gate and the stairway leading from the largely unexcavated lower city up into Hatzor's Acropolis. Archaeologist Yigal Yadin, who excavated here in 1955 to 1958 and 1968 to 1969, estimated that the Canaanite city of Joshua's time could have accommodated 25 to 30,000 people. The covered area visible on the mound is a Canaanite citadel, and this here is an Israelite citadel, probably, they believe, built by Ahab in the 9th century BCE. This was destroyed by Tiglath-Pileser III in 732 BCE. The size of the entire city of Hatzor was actually 8 times that of the Acropolis.
Let's go back to I think we'll go back to the 50s.
Once again, the Near East's cradle of civilization yields its secrets as an archaeological expedition of the Hebrew University uncovers the ruins of the famous biblical city of Hazor, once conquered by Joshua, as related in the Old Testament. Some of the city dates back to 1900 BC, and its find is regarded as one of the most important in modern-day archaeology. Dr. Yigal Yadin, who heads the expedition, is a veteran student of the Old Testament, feels that the finds go far to document some of the more obscure periods of biblical history. After capturing the city, Joshua put it to the torch, but it was later rebuilt in King Solomon's time. Broken vases and other pieces of pottery are painstakingly reassembled and give a vivid picture of the skills in the dawn of civilization as we know it.
And one last one.
And at what the Bible describes as the greatest of all Canaanite cities, Hatzor, there is more evidence of destruction. Today, Hatzor is being excavated by one of the leading Israeli archaeologists, Amnon Ben-Tor, and his protege and co-director, Sharon Zuckerman.
I'm walking through a passage between two of the rooms of the Canaanite palace of the kings of Hatzor. Signs of the destruction you can still see almost everywhere. You can see the dark stones here, and most important, you can see how they cracked into a million pieces. It takes tremendous heat to cause such damage. The fire here was, I shall say, the mother of all fires.
Among the ashes, Ben-Tor discovered a desecrated statue, most likely the king or patron god of Hatzor. His head and hands are cut off, apparently by the city's conquerors. This marked the end of Canaanite Hatzor.
Question number one, who did it? Who was around? Who is a possible candidate? So number one, the Egyptians. They don't mention having done anything at Hatzor. In any of the inscriptions of the time, we don't see Hatzor. Another Canaanite city-state could have done it? Maybe, but who was strong enough to do it? Who are we left with? The Israelites. The only ones about whom there is a tradition that they did it. So, let's say they should be considered guilty of destruction of Hatzor until proven innocent.
And there's another Canaanite city-state that Joshua and his army of Israelites are credited with laying waste. is called Ai and has been discovered in what is now the Palestinian territory of the West Bank.
So this particular video,
Archaeologists
actually looked at Jericho, Ai, and Hatzor, because those are the three cities that were burned. So that's Hatzor. We're going to move on to verse 16 in your new handout. So Joshua chapter 11, verse 16. The remainder of chapter 11 and chapter 12 review over victory. So there's going to be a lot of names, a lot of locations, just to show where the victories were. So it's a review. So Joshua chapter 11, verse 16. So Joshua took all that land, the hills and all the south country, and all the land of Goshen, and the valley and the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same, even from Mount Halak, that goeth up to Seir, even unto Belgad, in the valley of Lebanon, under Mount Hermon, and all the kings he took and smote them and slew them. So the quick review. Remember, it talks about here Goshen. The Israelites came from Goshen, but we don't think this particular passage is referring to here. Goshen, they're thinking is somewhere in here. But either way, he took all the promised land. We're talking about somewhere in the south. So he's talking about different locations in the south. We got the hill country right in the middle, right? And we got the south country, the land of Goshen, the valley, the plain. We have the mountain of Israel. What would be the mountain of Israel? Jerusalem. Ezekiel chapter 17, verse 23 makes a reference to that, the description. In the mountain of the heights of Israel I planted, and shall bring forth boughs, and bear fruit, and be goodly cedar, and under it shall dwell all fowl of every wing, in the shadow of the branches thereof shall they dwell. So the mountain of Israel. So they captured, they had Jerusalem as well. In the valley, so the valley, the valley outside of Jerusalem, even unto Mount Halak. I think Mount Halak is the name means bald, so we think it's a mountain down here in the south. We know Seir is in the south, the area of Seir, and we know Belgad, the valley of Lebanon is all the way to the north. So here we have this verse is basically describing from south to north. Joshua had all these victories. Israel had all these victories. God was victorious for Israel from south to north. And he took all the kings, he smote them, and slew them. So we find here the range of what Israel conquered. Huh?
Canaan, if you want to find, or promised land, or
Complete victory over Canaan. Complete victory over Canaan. Belgad, just for definition's sake, means Lord of Fortune. Lord of Fortune, located under Mount Hermon. All right, Joshua chapter 11, verse 18 says, Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. You know, we talked about some major campaigns, the southern campaign, the northern campaign, Jericho, Ai, and it's like, man, the Lord is moving fast. Major attacks have happened, and Joshua is just taking care of business in lightning speed. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. The entire campaign for the Promised Land took, we believe, 7 years, and I got a verse to show you there. But it took 7 years, and we got these major events that are occurring within that seven-year span. My dad, he was in World War II. After World War II, you kind of have stories, and you think they piece them. That's kind of, these stories are all pieced out, placed out over a 4-year span when he served during World War II. And when he died, I was able to get some paperwork and find all those stories was like in a 2-day period of time. So just like here with Joshua, we're focusing on this campaign where the sun and the moon stood still, or chasing after the northern kings, and we're focusing on these big events. Well, there's a lot of time that goes on in between these major events and other skirmishes and different things like that. We'll see here other kings and other cities were attacked that aren't mentioned in these southern and northern campaigns specifically. So like my dad, different things, major events occurred at points in time, but there's a whole lot of other things that were going on as well. So we have here in Joshua 14:10 is where we get how long this time period was, the campaigns were. Joshua 14 says, "And now behold, the Lord hath kept me alive," and this is Caleb talking. "The Lord hath kept me alive, and he said, these 45 years, even since the Lord spake this word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness, and now, lo, I am this day 85 years old." So this is where we get 7 years, and the way we get this is Caleb was 40 years old when Moses sent him out of Kadesh Barnea as a spy. Okay, and now we see he's 85 years old, right? So the verse says he's 85 years old. This is when he's getting his inheritance. So after the end of the campaign, Caleb's going to get an inheritance. Joshua's going to ask, "What would you like?" Caleb's going to say, I want Hebron. We'll get to that later. So this is where Caleb is getting his inheritance, his reward for staying with it this whole time. So we find out he's actually 85. So now he was 40 years old when he went into the wilderness, when as a spy. And so we have a 45-year span in between Kadesh Barnea, the spies at Kadesh Barnea, and when Caleb is getting his inheritance. Now, from the time of the spies at Kadesh Barnea, the 12 spies, there's 38 years, right? They've already been 2 years wandering, 2 years going from Egypt, doing Mount Sinai, and coming up to Kadesh Barnea. So 38 years. And then so the difference between 40 plus 38 minus 85 gives us 7. That makes sense? All right. So we have a long period of time. Long period of time. All right, verse 19. "And there was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All other they took in battle." So acknowledging again that the Gibeonites, number 3, the Gibeonites are the only ones who made peace with Israel. It's just a fascinating story here. And we point out that Joshua probably made a wrong decision, but ultimately God is the one directing the heart, right? God knew this was going to happen. God directed all of this. God had something special for Gibeon, or a special story for us to recognize that we have no hope in ourselves, but yet if we surrender ourselves to the Lord, we have eternal life. Here the Gibeons had no hope, and they didn't fight for themselves. They didn't trust in themselves. They said, "We clearly are in a hopeless state. We are going to give ourselves over to Joshua and Israelites and fight and see what happens." And here they came through as servants at the tabernacle, which is fascinating. Verse 20, "For it was of the Lord to harden their heart, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them as the Lord commanded Moses." Fascinating verse here, right? The Lord, again, sovereign in all that he does, is directing the hearts. And here he directed the hearts of, first of all, he directed the hearts of the Gibeonites to say, "I'm in a hopeless state, let me try making peace with Israel," but also directed the hearts of all the other kings to say, "We're going to go fight Israel. We can take Israel. We don't want Israel here. We're going to go against Israel." He's going to harden their hearts. And from ourselves, God will direct our hearts, and a hardened heart will either bring us into submission or send us to destruction. And so it's our choice, right? Our choice, how God uses that. And many times if we reject the Lord, he's going to bring us to submission, where we're in a hospital bed looking up, and the only thing we do is look up to him. You have a choice to make. Am I going to surrender, or am I going to continue to fight against the Lord? But the Lord here, we find the Lord here is the one that's hardening their hearts for them to fight, and that they would have no favor. And so because they fought, the Lord utterly destroyed them. Romans chapter 1, verse 24. "Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up to vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use unto that which is against nature. Likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which were not convenient. Similar here, God hardened their hearts. God turned them over. Here we're seeing in our own culture, in our own, well, globally for that matter, God is turning them over to our own lusts, men going after men, women after women going after their own lusts. He's turning them over for what is inconvenient. We have verse 32, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. And you just have to watch the news. We have the synagogue, the attack in the synagogue. We have the pipe bombs going to our national leaders. And we can see the vile affections that are out there, the vile nature of man. And you have to come to a choice. What can change? What do I do to change? I was in a conversation last week, looking at the election cycle and all the different things going on in the election cycle, and they're asking, what do we do to change this? I'm thinking, well, there's no other way to change this but Jesus Christ. And the reality is, it is going to get worse, and which will usher in the kingdom of God. Verse 21. And at that time Joshua came and cut off the Anakims from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. There was none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel, only in Gaza, and Gath, and Ashdod they remained. Now, who were the Anakims? They were Canaanites, yes, but they had a special feature about them. They were giants. These giants made the Israelites afraid. So Israelites' greatest fear was conquered last. Israel's greatest fear was conquered last. We've already looked into destroying the southern kingdoms and the northern kingdoms. Now Joshua's talking about the Anakims. And we know the Anakims is what made the Israelites not go into the promised land 38 years prior. Numbers 13:27, they told him, and said, we came unto the land whither thou sent us. These are the spies. And surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. Moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. And the Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites dwell in the mountains, the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we were able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which thou hast gone to search it is the land that eateth up the inhabitants of thereof, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants, the son of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, so we were in their sight. So significantly, Israel faced the Anakims last, only after God had trained them in battle and working with him through the months of conquest. When Israel refused to enter Canaan out of fear for Anakim, they did not realize that God would manage their affairs, so they would face this most difficult challenge last. God knows how to manage the battles in our lives, and we must allow God to manage those battles. All too often, we are convinced that we must go out and fight the Anakim first, but God would have us face them last. So this particular, because the end of chapter 11 and chapter 12, where we start listing names and kings, what we get out of this chapter is God's faithfulness. And what we also see is God is not fighting one battle. Well, let's take care of David's problem right now. Write this for a second. It's battle after battle after battle, after victory after victory after victory after victory after victory. And what may be troubling us as our most scared battle, or the thing that scares us the most, God saying, I'll take care of that. You just wait for me. Let me take care of you these other things first, and you'll take care of that one next. Whereas we're so fretting about the giants, that we forget about the Lord who's been victorious and with us every step. We also see that it took a long time. It's not an instantaneous victory. Joshua and the Israelites did not have control over all Canaan instantaneously. As soon as they walked across the river, yes, God had it for them, but we're going to take it one victory at a time. One victory at a time. And now, at this moment in time, we look back. We look back at the victories. Look back at the kings that were conquered. Look back at the cities that were burned to the ground. Look back at God's faithfulness every step of the way. If God gave everything instantaneously, we would soon forget about God. Right? We think, well, look what we did. But the Lord managed their battles, managed their victories, managed it every step of the way, and they just had to allow God to do that. And we find here the Anakims are the last to be conquered. We find in this verse that they were, well, apparently they were all over and had to be chased down and conquered. But we find in the end there's 3 cities that remain: Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. That they did not move the Anakim out of. So B, they remained only in Gaza, Gath, Gath, and Ashdod. So the Anakim giants were left in these 3 cities. All the other locations around Canaan, they were removed and eliminated. But the job wasn't quite finished yet. So the Philistines used Goliath. Goliath is from Anak. Well, the Philistines are a group of people, and the Anakims are another sect, yeah. And they're probably intermingled. Yeah, they're all Canaanites. They're all Canaanites. But this particular family were giants. So David is going to have to deal with Goliath. Anybody remember where Goliath is from? Gath. Goliath is from Gath, one of the cities that Joshua and the Israelites did not conquer and take the Anakims out of. So 1 Samuel 17:4. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Remember, our Goliath would have been hunched over here inside. But again, the job wasn't completely done. David's going to have to deal with it. Well, if we ever go to the book of Judges, we'll see they're still dealing with the book of Judges. We talk about how Israel did conquer all of Canaan, but there's still a lot of cleanup to do. And there was still that influence on the Israelites within, well, caused them to have to be judged, caused the Israelites to be judged. Verse 23. So Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord said unto Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel according to the divisions of their tribes, and the land rested from war. So after 7 years of war, the land's going to rest. We're going to find the inheritance is going to be given to all the 12 tribes. And that will be handed out in the next coming chapters. But the land is at rest. The land is at rest. There's still work to be done, but the major battles have come to an end.
I'm sorry, did you say that the chapter was about resting? Is that chapter 11 or chapter 12?
Basically, all of Joshua, the whole book, you could say that. But here in the latter part of chapter 11 and verse 12, it's a review of all the land and all the kings that Joshua conquered. Any questions on chapter 11? All right, so chapter 12. Verse 1, now these are the kings of the land which the children of Israel smote and possessed their land on the other side of Jordan toward the rising of the sun from the river Arnon unto Mount Hermon and all the plain of the east. So where is this verse talking about? East of the Jordan River, yes. East of the Jordan River. So what we have here We're going to talk about the kings. Chapter 12 is about the kings that were conquered. And so we're going to talk about the kings on the east side of the Jordan River. This is the Dead Sea. This is the Sea of Galilee, and the Jordan River is here. We're going to talk about the kings that were conquered over here. Under whose leadership were these kings conquered? No. No. Which leader? Who came before Joshua? No, what Israelite leader? Moses, yes, Moses. So the kings we're going to talk about on the east side of the Jordan River are going to be conquered by Moses. Remember, Joshua only took over when they were crossing over the Jordan River. So these are the kings of the land of which the children of Israel spoke and possessed their land on the other side of Jordan toward the rising of the sun. The rising of the sun comes in the east. From the river Arnon. So we're going to talk about from the river Arnon to Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon. And so from this point to this point is what we're talking about. Remember, the land of Moab is down here, which was not conquered. The Lord didn't want them to have that land. And so Moses is the leader who conquered this land in Numbers 31 through 35. We like definitions, so we'll quickly go through some definitions. Jordan. First time we looked up what the name Jordan means. Anybody know what Jordan means? No. It means descender. Descender. So it's going down. Going down to the lowest place on earth. So Jordan actually means descender. Arnon. This is close to what Shalom had said. It means rushing stream. Rushing stream. And then Hermon, Mount Hermon, means sanctuary. Sanctuary. All right, so the first king we're going to talk about, verse 2. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon and ruled from Arar, which is upon the bank of the river Arnon, and from the middle of the river, and from half Gilead, even unto the river Jabbok, which is the border of the children of Ammon, and from the plain to the sea of Chinnereth on the east, and to the sea of the plain, even the salt sea of the east, the way to Beth-Jethmesh, and from the south under Ashdod-Pisgah. And so we are basically defining the land that King Sihon controlled. So from the Sea of Chinnereth, the Sea of Galilee. Remember what Chinnereth means?
Harps.
Harps. Harps kind of looks like a harp from the sky. So from Chinnereth all the way to Arnon is what Sihon, king of the Amorites, controlled. All right, Sihon. His name means warrior. Warrior.
Warrior?
Warrior. Soldier, warrior.
No, warrior.
Yeah. And his capital city was Heshbon. Heshbon. Which means stronghold. Stronghold. And that's going to become the borderline between the Reubenites and the Gibeonites. Oh, not Gibeonites. Reubenites and the Gadites. The tribes of Reuben and Gad. Arar, city down here, means ruins. Ruins. Not sure, probably you want to name a city ruins before it was ruined, right? Gilead, the area of Gilead, means rocky region. Rocky region. So mountainous region. Jabbok, the river Jabbok, means emptying. Jabbok, up here, means emptying. And the river Jabbok is where Jacob fought with the Lord. Ammon means tribal. Beth-Shemesh? I don't think I have.
Which one did you just say?
Ammon.
Where's that one? Oh, A-R-A-B.
Oh, which is the border of the children of Ammon. That's why it's on here. So Ammon, the children of Ammon are over here. They're outside the border. So it's talking about the border with the children of Ammon, right? And so Ammon is the capital of present-day Jordan, country of Jordan. Beth-Shemesh.
Why don't you have these written down on your outline so I wouldn't have to try to figure out how to spell them?
They're in the verse.
Sure, yeah, well,
Beth-Shemesh. Anybody have an idea what that means?
No, because it wasn't written.
All right, what does Beth mean?
But-
House. House of destruction. House of desolation. House of the desolation. Another great name, huh? And then this long name, Ashdoth Pisgah. It just means slopes of Pisgah. This is where the mountains of Pisgah include Mount Nebo. And what happened at Mount Nebo? That's where Moses went up and saw the promised land, where Moses dies. And so this is the land, King Zion, the Amorites. This is conquered under Moses' leadership. Then we have the next king is King Og, verse 4, and the coast of Og, king of Bashan, which was of the remnant of the giants that dwelt at Ashtaroth and Edrei, and reigned in Mount Hermon and in Salcah and all Bashan unto the border of the Gershites and the Maccathites and the half tribe, half Gilead, and the border of Zion, king of Heshbon. So from the border of King Heshbon all the way to Mount Hermon is where King Og kingdom was. Og, anybody know what Og means?
I heard a cake, bread
Cake?
baked in ashes,
No,
or was it in the tooth and ivory?
no, I have long necked.
How did you find that?
Long necked. Long necked.
I found two different sources on it. Which one are you using?
The right one?
I don't know. I found two. I found two
I can
different,
show you.
two different ones that gave it as a cake, bread baked in ashes.
Bashan, what do you have for Bashan?
In the tooth and ivory.
Fruitful. Fruitful. So Bashan is the where King Og's capital was. Or Ashtaroth. You know Ashtaroth?
I didn't look this up.
Star, and that's actually named after one of the pagan gods. Female pagan god. Yeah, god of fertility. A false goddess of Canaan. Edrei means goodly pasture. And then to the east is Salcah, which means migration. So we have the kingdom of Zion and kingdom of Og. Verse 6, then did Moses, the servant of God, and the children of Israel smite. Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it for possession unto the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh. So number 3, Moses gave the land to the Reubenites and the Gadites and half tribe of Manasseh. So remember, the land was conquered, and the 2.5 tribes went to Moses and says, "Can we have this?" And so Moses says, "Yes, only to go over and fight with the other tribes." And so they said, "We will." And so they settled in these lands. So they already have their inheritance. Now they've been working with the rest of the Israelites to conquer the remainder of the promised land. Verse 7, and these are the kings of the country which Joshua and the children of Israel smote. So now we're going to move to the west side of the Jordan River. We're going to move to, this is the kings that Joshua conquered. King Og and King Bashan or Zion were the kings that Moses conquered. This is the ones that Joshua conquered on the other side. A lot of names. And these are the kings of the country which Joshua and the children of Israel smote on this side of Jordan on the west, from Belgad, so all the way to the north, in the valley of Lebanon, even unto Mount Helak, that goeth up to Seir, all the way to the south. We're going this whole length of cities, which Joshua gave unto the tribes of Israel for possession according to the divisions. We'll talk about inheritance later. Verse 8, in the mountains, in the valleys, in the plains, in the springs, in the wilderness, in the south country, we have the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. So all these different people groups, all under the umbrella of the Canaanites, will be conquered. So verse 9, you ready for names and definitions? So we have here verse 9, the king of Jericho was conquered. Did we ever look up the meaning of Jericho before? What did we say it was? I have its moon. I don't remember when we talked about the definition of Jericho. It's moon. Moon. Ai, so verse 9 again, the king of Ai, which is beside Bethel. So Ai meant ruins. In Bethel. So Ai is near Bethel, and Bethel means, what does Bethel mean? House of God. El is God, Beth is house of God. Verse 10, the king of Jerusalem. What does Jerusalem mean? City of peace. City of peace. And the king of Hebron. So we've attacked Jericho, Ai, Jerusalem, now we're Hebron. And Hebron means association. Verse 11, the king of Jarmuth. Jarmuth means heights. Too fast. So here's Jarmuth. So in the central ridge. Lachish. The king of Lachish. What does Lachish mean?
Oh, that didn't. Lakish was, he walks with this on himself. Opposition? No.
Invincible.
Invincible?
So remember, Lachish was the one where Joshua is attacking during the southern campaign, and they got help from another city that came down to help people in Lachish. And so Joshua took care of them as well. Verse 12, the king of Eglon. Eglon means calf-like. Calf, like a cow. Cow. And then Gezer. Oh, that's where they came from. Gezer to help out Lachish. Gezer means portion. Portion, like a part of. Verse 13, the king of Debir. Debir also means sanctuary. And then the king of Geder. Where's Geder? Do I have Geder up there? That's it. Geder means wall. Then the king of Hormah, verse 14. Hormah means devotion. And then the king of Arad. There's Arad in the south. Means a wild donkey. The king of verse 15, the king of Libnah. Slow me down if you need me to.
Well, yeah, right. Libna, what I have Libna down as whiteness and invisible.
Right, also pavement. Pavement, like the ground.
So, which one is it? You know?
We'll have to bring a linguist.
Huh?
And then the king of Adullam. Adullam means justice of the people. Verse 16, the king of Makdah. Here we go on the coast. King of Mecca means place of shepherds. This is where Joshua chased the 5 kings during the southern campaign. The 5 kings ran and hid. And they hid in caves, and they hid in the caves of Mecca.
That means shepherd?
Place of shepherds, yes. And the king of Bethel, or Bethel with Ai. We never talked about Bethel being conquered in the previous time, but it was conquered at some point in time. And so we talked about that as the house of God. And so these cities that these kings we just talked about, where are they located? All in the south. All in the south. So that's how they're differentiated here. We're talking about the kings that were conquered in the south first. And now we're going to talk about the kings that were in the north. Right? Verse 17. The king of Tapua. Anybody want to guess what Tapua means? I don't see that in that book. Apple City.
Apple?
Apple City. The king of Heifer means a well.
Well?
Well, yeah, like, like a drinking well.
Well?
Water well. Verse 18, the king of Aphek. Aphek. That's Heifer. The king of Aphek means enclosure. Enclosure. Verse 18, the king of Lasharon. Lasharon means level.
Level? Like a flat?
Like in flat.
Okay.
Yep. Madden, verse 19, the king of Madden. We're talking about Madden being strife. So Madden was one of the cities that came and helped out or joined the Northern Confederacy.
What did you say what?
Strife.
Oh.
Then we have Hazor. King of Hazor. Remember what Hazor means? Castle, right. Verse 20, the king of Shimron. This one we talked about being Watchite.
Watchite?
Watchite, like a
Like a
watchtower or something. And then the king of Axpha. Axpha means I shall be bewitched. Axpha over the coast. At the foot of Mount Carmel. The king of Kanak. Kanak means sandy.
Sandy, like in the
Sandy,
sand.
like beachy sand.
Yeah.
The king of Megiddo. Place of crowds. Place of crowds.
Place of crowds.
Yeah, so isn't that kind of interesting? Megiddo is where Armageddon is going to take place.
A lot of people.
A lot of people. It's going to be crowded there. Place of crowds. Verse 22, we're almost done. Verse 22, the king of Kadesh. Kadesh means holy place. The king of Jokneam means the people lament. The people lament, the people cry. And verse 22.
I'm writing his name. Okay, go ahead.
Carmel. So the king of Joachim of Carmel. So Mount Carmel is right here. And so Carmel means garden land. Garden land. You ready for verse 23? The king of Dor and the coast of Dor. Dor means generations. Dor is right at the coast. Generation. And then the king of the nations of Gilgal. Well, that's kind of odd, isn't it? Where are they? Where's the headquarters for the Israelites? Gilgal. But here it says they conquered the king of Gilgal. Remember, Gilgal is a generic term that means round or assembly. And so in the Bible, there's reference to multiple Gilgals that seemingly have different locations. Because clearly, they're camping out at Gilgal. They're not going to have taken anybody at Gilgal right there because they're there. So this Gilgal is another location.
You said meant what?
It means assembly or round, like a rolling wheel. Verse 24, the king of Tirzah. Tirzah means favorable. Favorable. So if we have a review, how many cities did we talk about? 31. 31. As verse 24 says, all the kings 30 and 1. Well, that's kind of a boring chapter. Was that a boring chapter? What can we get out of that chapter? Besides, okay, there's meaning of names or locations. Yeah. God's faithfulness. God was faithful every step of the way. Every battle was unique in itself, and God was with them. God was with them. You know, if someone tells you, if someone asks you, how was your day? And you start reviewing your day, like, oh my. You realize, if you listen closely, that's God being faithful every step. Right? God got me to the hospital. Or, you know, God got me on the road and kept me safe on the road. God allowed me to see the doctor. The doctor was on time, or the doctor showed me. The doctor, whatever case may be. Every mundane thing is still God's faithfulness. So we have a lot to be thankful. We should not see the little things that God's doing. And here we have this particular chapter steps back and shows all those pulls us out, looks out at 10,000 feet above and says, look what the Lord has done. And sometimes we need to step back and say, wow, look what the Lord has done. It may have taken a while. Each battle was unique, and God dealt with it in a unique, different way, and not everyone was handled the same. One is, God wanted me to walk around Jericho 7 times, 6 times, one, And we had the problem with Ai. Oh, I forgot to go to the Lord, and that reminds me I need to go to the Lord, not assume victory, but wait on the Lord. Or the southern campaign, where I have this faith, Lord, I know you want me to conquer this land, and I'm trusting you that let's get this done today. And so I need the sun to be stopped. Or the Lord saying, there's a force up there, northern campaign, and the northern, in the north, that are coming together to attack you. You can go attack them there. We just see God's wonders each and every day and each and every moment. But don't lose faith. God's still working each battle at a time, one battle at a time. It may be a long haul, a lifetime, but God is there. Questions, comments? Let's close in prayer. Dear Father, we thank you for today, Lord. We thank you for the details that you provide in your word, Lord. And Lord, nothing goes unnoticed by you. And Lord, that you're there every step of the way with us, through each and every battle, through each and every day, through each and every circumstance, through each and every moment that comes our way. Lord, may we look to you. May we put our faith and trust in you for every moment. Lord, may we seek you first for each situation, Lord. Lord, may we bring it to you. Lord, may you advise us and guide us as we walk. Or maybe a light shining for you, or maybe we already know we have victory in the end. But Lord, take us through each and every moment. Lord, may you be with Pastor Alan, filled with the Holy Spirit. Be with us now as we fellowship together, Lord. Amen.